Good morning, everybody. It is my joyful pleasure to have Shabir back in the bathroom. Good morning,
Wonderful,
darling. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good Christmas?
Wonderful.
Good Christmas. And in the bath, we've got Jill. Just show you the shoes today. Let me just, Jill, show the shoes. There we are. She says they're incredibly comfortable. And we have to believe her. They're very high and sexy, but then Jill would never do anything but. So, Shabir, we are talking today about cleansing our whole system, right?
We are indeed. Because, I mean, after the excesses of Christmas, etc., we seem to be barraged with people who are talking about detoxification, whether it's in magazines or online, or people making inquiries as to, you know, I want to detox my body. And having just the odd green smoothie and a few celery sticks is not going to do it.
It's not going to do it.
Our body is constantly detoxing. It's self-regulatory, so it's detoxing all the time. So the word I'm drinking a smoothie and detoxing is just not cutting it with me. Okay,
so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through every element of detoxing your system. I think today, what's the date today? 11th? I think it's very good. We're nearly in the middle of January because I think a lot of people wake up New Year's resolution saying I'll do it, and they get to today. Nothing's really been going on. I'm doing my dry January with my wardrobe. I don't know. But I think the next 2 weeks to me is the ideal time because you've got to a headspace where you thought, I really wish I had. It's not too late. Let's start now.
I think, I mean, I'm a firm believer of cleansing and nurturing those systems. So, you know, we do have our body's detoxification systems mainly start from the gastrointestinal tract, so the intestines, and the liver. So these are the two big organs of detoxification, and I think we can cleanse and nurture them. So yes, you may be drinking a green smoothie, which is great, and it will help to nurture it along. But actually, the green smoothie itself will not be detoxing. Your body is carrying on that detoxification system ongoing.
So what's step one?
The first thing that people always ask me is, why should I cleanse my system? Of course, we come back to the same thing. Our bodies are constantly barraged with toxins from the foods and the drink that we ingest. So the foods maybe have E numbers and potentially fats and everything else in them. I mean, we've got exposure to external pollutants. So the air we breathe, for example, much more prone to pollutants these days than say 2 decades ago. Cleaning agents.
Cleaning agents,
like as in the chemicals we use within our homes.
And that just we're inhaling them a lot.
We're inhaling them a lot.
How important is it that people should consider going green in that? Because
I think
a lot of products out there.
It's the whole ethos, isn't it? You're either going to do it, or you're not going to do it. It's just going to carry on with your normal bleaches and things like that. Personal care products, again, personal care products. You know, a lot of people will be looking at personal care products where they're laden with chemicals, or they might go the other way and go for supposedly green beauty, but then what is green beauty anyway? You know, a lot of green beauty products do contain chemicals as well, so it's the ethos of it all. I mean, it's your choice what you're going to do, but what it remains for sure is there are many things out of your control, such as the environmental pollution and everything, and we need to cleanse the system.
Can I just ask, just as we go on, I just want to say how many women, it'd be really interesting to know how many women have been thinking about a detox. Good morning, ladies, how are you? I just want to let you know that we can't see the comments here, so Maiko is going to read them out, but I think what we'll do is we'll let Shabir talk a bit about a subject, and then we're going to take your comments and get through as many as we can as we go along, because I think there's going to be a lot of questions too.
Sure.
But just
I mean, the other thing, apart from these environmental issues, pollutants, the food we eat and everything, the one thing that we're again not in control of is, to a degree, is the fact that we metabolize food. Think of your body as a car. So you're putting in fuel into your car. You're getting exhaust at the back. Same thing, you're putting fuel into your body. You're getting your own exhaust. And that is full of toxins. Every time you metabolize sugar, you end up releasing a toxin. Has to be neutralized. Your body is carrying on doing that sort of a job for you. You can cleanse and nurture the whole system. But what is the effect of these toxins? So the effects of these toxins are basically, toxins cause inflammation within the body. If you were to have food just now, you create all these toxins, and then you've gone away somewhere where it's toxin free, say the top of the Himalayas or whatever, your liver will cope with it and you'll be cleansed within a matter of hours. But of course, we're constantly being barraged with the same thing. We're going through the same motions every day. We're going to work. We're eating the same sort of foods.
There isn't a chance for rest.
There isn't a chance for rest
so
at all.
this is giving our body that opportunity.
Absolutely. Toxins cause inflammation in the end, and inflammation, as you know, is the slows everything down. It scars your tissues, and it's the theory of aging.
So we've talked about inflammation with regard to sugar, which I know we're going to try and get onto.
We're going to try to get to later on.
But you're talking about inflammation from all these processes you've mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time you burn something, you're creating byproducts which are toxic to your body, and your gastrointestinal tract has to deal with it, followed by your liver, followed by the lymphatic system, which we talked about previously.
Can I ask you, if one didn't consider doing detox and you have this build up, what are the ramifications that you'll find in your body if you just never give it a break?
I think you start off with so if you start off with not cleansing your gastrointestinal system, you're talking about possibly bloating, possibly constipation, possibly reflux. All the gastrointestinal systems may be associated with a sluggish system full of toxins and heavy metals.
So if anyone now has got a lot of those symptoms going on, this is an even better time to consider.
It's a good time
Let's
to
bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah.
How can I just ask, because impatience is something we all suffer from, well I know I do. How long a process are we talking about in this idea of what we're going to do with the detox?
See, I don't believe that detoxification should be thought of once a year, for example.
Okay,
I always
think
of detoxification either as an ongoing support to your body, because your body is always detoxifying and it needs that support.
Yeah.
Or at the worst case scenario, think about it every season.
All right. So what
and
we're going to talk about
7
today.
10 days.
Okay. So what we're talking about today is something that we can say this year we're going to start to have a detox maintenance program for our body.
Correct.
These are the things that we're going to be able to take, so that whatever we're doing with our lifestyle, we have things to help the elimination.
At the worst case scenario,
reduce
do it
inflammation.
seasonally. Do it 3-4 months.
Okay. All right. Great.
Let's follow it.
What are we going to start?
Incidentally, those toxins that we were talking about. The average human stores 700 toxins in the body. Isn't that incredible?
God.
That's a lot of toxins.
God.
A lot of toxins. So the next question is, where if someone wants to detox their body, where do they begin?
Yeah.
So I always recommend that you start at the beginning, which is your intestines. Your gastrointestinal tract is a big source of your toxin intake. So we're talking about the food, the drink, and everything else that we're ingesting. It's a big area to start off with. It is something that we should be considering first.
Just so we can do biology correctly, you've got your big intestine, your small intestine,
you've
your
got,
colon.
You've
so
got
just
your,
describe them in your body. Take a step back, because I think physically, just for us to know where they are, Shabir, is really key. Okay,
so you've got your stomach.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to get this down so we can see. It's just you might know this, ladies, but I don't. Just take a step back further. Okay, yes. What have we got?
Stomach.
You're putting
liver.
it on the left-hand side, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, stomach's
just
on the left.
between middle and left.
Yeah.
Middle and right, liver.
Yeah.
You're from the stomach. You've got the small intestine running like that.
Down there.
Curves,
yeah.
And then leading to the large intestine, and after the large intestine comes the colon.
Okay.
Now the small intestine is 20 feet long, so it's convoluted a lot.
And everyone's is wrapped differently.
And the large intestine is only 6 feet long on average, with the last part of it being the colon. And we'll talk about that later on.
All right. So that's where everything is. Yes.
So why are we talking about going straight to the GI tract? So our modern day diets tend to favor very low fiber foods. A lot of us are eating low fiber, nutrient poor, processed foods.
Give us some quick examples when you do
microwavable meals for a start.
Oh my God.
I hate them, but there you go. A lot of people, that's fine. Once a week on that is fine.
Can I ask you something? If you've got some really good food and you heat it up in the microwave, is that as bad as microwavable food?
I mean, any heat process is going to degenerate something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, it's a balancing act. Raw foods, which is why the proponents of raw foods always say you've got all these enzymes in raw foods, but who wants to eat raw foods every day?
Yeah.
I think as I mentioned, this processed low fiber foods will lead to a problem. Always leads to a problem. Invariably, you will end up with some sort of bloating. Bloating is a separate issue as well, because we talked about bloating with the lack of digestive enzymes.
Yeah.
But you can lead to bloating, constipation, gassiness, things like that. So that's step one of it. Now, your gut, your intestines, however you want to call it, was made so that you eat food, you absorb the nutrients and
Expel the rest.
Expel the rest, right? And this is supposed to happen very systematically, perhaps 2 motions a day, perhaps 1 motion a day in some instances, but at the minimum 1 motion a day.
Yeah.
If people are going to expose themselves to this type of food, then of course everything's going to slow down. Your foods, because you haven't got enough fiber in them, is going to go very, very slowly. And when food goes slowly through the intestinal tract, you get fermentation. And when you get fermentation, you get more toxins being released, and of course more damage being done.
It's like, imagine a gas,
more
gas heap.
More damage being done. So that process is, again, why you should be thinking of cleansing.
Okay.
If you're not having motions regularly, you should definitely be thinking about cleansing. The other thing is what I said before. Food mixes with all of the acids and digestive enzymes. Now, think about it logically. You've got a mush or a mash or mesh or whatever you want to call it of digestive enzymes, foods, and all the liquids and everything else.
Inside your tummy.
Inside your
intestine. Yeah.
Right. That has got to form something, and it does. It forms a little bit of a film, maybe like a plaque-like substance, and that plaque-like substance hinders the absorption of nutrients. But the plaque-like substance also encourages parasites and pathogens to thrive there.
Okay.
So let's talk about, that's one of the reasons why you want to cleanse. You want to remove that plaque, but you also want to remove these parasites. We are exposed to over 300 parasites, single cell creatures, through the foods we eat, whether it's through unwashed vegetables or whether it's through raw, uncooked meat. We're exposed to...
What's the healthy amount of parasites for us to have in our stomach?
Look, most of us do actually carry.
Yes, because it's good. We always talk about having good bacteria and bad bacteria. But
200 odd species is considered the norm for most people.
So when you're reaching 300, it's beginning to...
Do you really want them? No, they exist. They exist. There may be some benefit to it because our immune system will react to it, and if we are exposed to another sort of a parasite, our immune system might be ready to counter it. But do we really want it? They're just the harbourers of it. They're sitting there, they're ingesting our nutrients, and we're being starved of them. Yeah. So we need to consider cleansing because of that.
They're borders that don't pay rent.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, the last bit, so we're talking about this, but more important than anything else is the colon. So this is the last bit of the large intestine. Yeah. So your small intestine, you've got your acids, your digestive enzymes, a lot of nutrient absorption occurs there. But your large intestine is where a lot of action occurs, in the colon, specifically in the colon. In the colon, you've got literally billions of bacteria that are finishing the last stage of digestion, so they're breaking down the food, finding the end. They are involved in releasing compounds that send signals to your brain that say you're not hungry or you're comfortable. Yeah. They're working on extracting nutrients out of it. They're manufacturing B vitamins for you, energizing B vitamins, and those bacteria.
These are good bacteria.
These are the good bacteria.
The friends.
They're manufacturing immune-enhancing compounds. 80% of your immunity arises out of your gut. These bacteria produce little protein structures called immunoglobulins that's sending signals to your white blood cells to say, "Oh, circulate around. Or, let's look at that."
So if they're not happy, our body is totally.
If the colon is congealed, and remember, fecal matter is there. If the colon is congealed, you need to cleanse it. Cleanse it. So a lot of people will revert to colon cleansing.
I have done.
May think of colon cleansing. You know, I mean, colon cleansing is something that you may wish to consider. You know what colon cleansing is all about, as you said, you've done it. But for those who don't, simply gravity fed. At the simplest thing, it's gravity fed water. Cleanse the system, pull out all the material, and off you go. Some people would prefer to use enemas at home, much smaller dosages. You can have a retention enema where you hold it in for 15 minutes, etc., and then push it out, etc., push the contents out.
I have to just say on for me, if anyone is considering a colon cleanse, it's really important, whoever you might go to, they don't put too much pressure in. Because I think a lot of colonics can be really aggressive water, much more than what our system's used to, and it can be damaging slightly. So
absolutely.
It's got to be somebody who has a very gentle system of putting that water through.
Yeah.
And
I mean, colon cleansing is not for women who are pregnant.
yeah.
Certainly wouldn't recommend it if you've got hemorrhoids. You know, it can be aggressive sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends on the operator, but it is safe to degree.
Do you think it's beneficial as a part of a cleansing routine? I mean, if somebody's watching here and thinking...
That's why I think there are alternatives to colon cleansing. So, I mean, there are 5,000 colonics carried out every month in the UK, and there are no major side effects reported.
Yeah.
So it is deemed to be safe, but I think there's another option open to you. And this is where I think you could consider the use of a supplement, which is called Complete Fiber Cleanse. Now, Complete Fiber Cleanse is a blend of soluble and insoluble
Have you got
fibers.
one here?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
All right, let me just find one. Is that it? Complete Fiber Cleanse. There we go. Complete
Fiber
Cleanse.
spelled the American way or the English way, whichever way you spell it.
From VH.
Yeah, from VH.
So what's in this, and how do you take it, and what's it
Okay,
going to
so
do?
Complete Fiber Cleanse is basically a series of barks, insoluble and soluble fibers. Now, insoluble fibers like psyllium, insoluble fibers like barks work to absorb a little bit of water, and as they're absorbing water in the colon, the fecal matter is expanded, so it's sending signals to your brain saying, I need to get rid of that
Excavate,
waste. Get rid of that
Poo.
the
Come on,
the
Shabir,
bit.
you're so polite about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing is, because they're insoluble, some of them have very jagged fibers. I mean, they have jagged edges.
Yeah.
So as they're passing through the small and the large intestine and the colon, they're scraping the gut out of that plaque that we talked about earlier.
All right.
So that's
what you want.
And that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want to get rid of that plaque, because what are you doing?
Right.
In getting rid of that plaque, you're also getting rid of some of those single cell parasites that are sticking around on the...
So it's like going to the dentist, and this is the dental hygienist aspect before you go to the person who's going to do the fillings. I'm like just trying to do an idea.
It's a straw-like substance.
Okay, and how do you take it?
Literally 2 teaspoonfuls.
Yeah.
Sorry, I left some silic.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
2 teaspoonfuls. You mix it with, I normally recommend a tall glass of water or juice. Rapidly swirl it, drink it down.
What does it taste like?
Straw. Literally straw.
Oh, it tastes like straw. Yeah. Drinking straw, first stage, stage 1. Complete fiber cleanse, VH. Okay, great. So we're starting with that. How many times a day?
I normally recommend just once a day.
Once a day, morning or evening is better?
Morning.
Okay, all right, that's the first stage.
So
we're getting, it's all coming, that plug.
The great thing with this product is that this product also contains an amino acid called N-acetylcysteine. So N-acetylcysteine has the ability to bind with heavy metals. Now remember, we're talking about pollutants from the environment.
And all the things we're cleaning in our room.
Heavy metals are passing through the gut. We need to cleanse them. So this is the first stage of getting rid of some of the heavy metals. The other thing is, the government has already been talking about it already in January, that we're not getting enough fiber in our diet. 9 out of 10 people are achieving around 18 grams of fiber a day, when the minimum recommended amount is 30 grams a day.
Okay.
So this is just supplementing
your fiber
intake.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 teaspoons may only give you actually 2 grams of fiber.
Yeah.
However, that's 2 grams more than you would have had otherwise.
Right.
You could theoretically use this on an ongoing basis.
Okay.
You could use this 3 times a year just to cleanse your gut, or you could use it on an ongoing basis.
What about somebody who might come back to us and say, well, I like to do everything naturally and I have a high fibre diet. Do you think the parameters of what high fibre is have slightly changed? Because some people might say, I take a lot of brown bread, it has fibre in it. You know, I think people attach foods to having high fibre, but what are the true high fibre foods that we can also take naturally?
I mean, there are many things, you know, we're talking about beans and pulses have fibre in them, but they're mostly a soluble type of fibre, which actually helps with your cardiovascular health. So insoluble fibre is trying to cleanse, and soluble fibre is trying to regulate your sugar levels, so that not too much sugar is passing through from the gut into the bloodstream. Yeah. Things like that. So there's a.
But this is the kind of perfectly composed compound.
This is what I call a balance of everything.
Okay.
That you could take on an ongoing basis, or you could take it 3-4 times a year. Like I said before.
Great, good.
But fibre is not for everyone.
Fibre isn't.
No.
So.
A lot of women will find, especially women with inflammatory bowel concerns like IBS, diverticulitis, colitis, things like that. That fiber, because especially IBS-C. So IBS-C is IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, where
With
the person
colitis.
is constipated.
Oh.
So the person is
right.
constipated. And now for them, if they used fiber, complete fiber cleanse, you're adding matter to the matter that's already there.
Yeah.
So you need a different optional altogether to cleanse your colon. For them, soluble fiber would be great, but not the insoluble fiber in here.
All right, so have you got something?
So for them, they would be better off using something as simple as vitamin C and magnesium.
All right, have you got something?
So vitamin C, as you know, vitamin C has a mild laxative effect.
Yes.
Magnesium has a mild laxative effect. But we're talking about a teaspoon of this having 4,500 milligrams of vitamin C. So it's going to give you
much
a good
higher than what somebody
cleansing
would take.
effect. It's still gentle
Yeah.
because the magnesium is bonded with the vitamin C, so it's lower pH, but it's still gentle, but it's giving you that cleanse. And it's a great option if you've got inflammatory bowel disease. And it's simply called Effervescent vitamin C.
Effervescent vitamin C, magnesium crystals. So it's magnesium vitamin C.
Magnesium vitamin C.
Okay, so it's
Put
not
together.
just taking vitamin C and magnesium
No.
separately.
It's vitamin C and magnesium put together. You literally take 1 or 2 teaspoonfuls, mix it in a small amount of water, drink it down, and you can do that 3 times a week.
Okay, great.
You could theoretically do it more often, because remember, the benefits of this is you're getting vitamin C into your body, which we all take for granted, and yet, funnily enough, most of us are still deficient in it. And magnesium, which 60% of the adult population is deficient in magnesium.
What about the people who say vitamin C goes in and out your system so quickly?
It does, but 4,500 milligrams will go in, some of it will...
But there's so much going in,
There's so much going in that some of
okay,
it will
great.
pass.
There it is, life extensions, magnesium.
Vitamin C was meant to be excreted in mammals. We just excrete it out. We take it in, we excrete it out.
Okay,
we take it. That's
we take what we need, and that's
we
fine.
take what we need.
Okay, should we do some questions now?
Yeah.
Let's do a few questions, because otherwise there's so many for MyKind to remember. It's just good to do something.
We can start with the fibre cleanse one. What's the suitable age for complete fibre cleanse and the effervescent vitamin C?
12 and above. 12 years and above would be considered perfectly safe.
If you have cramps, does this mean your colon is irritated?
Very, very likely.
Where do you buy the complete fibre cleanse?
Complete fibre cleanse at victoriahealth.com.
How long do you take it? So do you take like a tub occasionally, or do you take a few days occasionally?
So I normally recommend taking complete fibre cleanse, the whole tub, two teaspoonfuls on a daily basis. Finish it off. You can come back to this seasonally, or as I said before, you can take this on an ongoing basis just to supplement the extra fibre that your body might need, and to maintain that regularity, assuming you haven't got inflammatory bowel concerns.
Okay.
What's a great fibre solution?
I think what we're saying is, in a way, because they might have...
liquid, do you have it in a liquid?
Oh, in a
is
liquid
it just,
form.
Or is it just in powder form?
It's in powder
Because
form.
you need to get, I think if we remember, Shabir was talking about
Scraping
these little
the gut.
scraping the gut and taking off that internal plaque inside the gut, and if it was just a liquid, it's not going to have that benefit as well.
What is your view on intravenous supplements and injected vitamins? This person is saying some clinics claim we only get 10% of the value from oral supplements.
Absolutely right in what you're saying, insofar as whenever you take anything through the gastrointestinal tract, it is going to be compromised because you've got a high amount of stomach acidity, and every nutrient to some degree will be excreted out. So you're never going to get 100% of your nutrient value. At best, our GI tracts are able to get about 50% out.
I mean, there are these clinics that do through the blood.
I know. But do I actually want to go every week and put a drip on? I'm not sure.
No.
Especially
but
when...
they do talk about, they do sell
when,
it in Shabir as seasonal things.
Sure.
And I think these things, these clinics
are
saying every week.
Nutrition is moving in such a way that these days you can get sublingual forms in many things. Not in everything, in certain things. And I prefer the sublingual route wherever possible.
So you prefer in the mouth, under
or
the tongue,
or under the tongue,
or a spray to an injection?
To an injection. Yeah.
Why?
I just think it's too invasive to go that route.
Okay, all right. That's Shabir's thought. I know there are many clinics that do it. I have tried those infused vitamins.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying
that's your thought. That's your thought. You've got to give what you believe in here. Yeah.
Ursula suffers from IBS. Can drinking charcoal powder help to get rid of toxins in the gut?
Charcoal is a good adsorber of toxins, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
It
I
might
had a
be
stomachache
beneficial.
last night because I combined 3 foods I shouldn't eat together. I had yogurt, dark chocolate, and pomegranate, and honey, and my stomach began to explode. And I went and I had 4 charcoal tablets, and it is actually, for me,
It does do the job.
really does the job. Yeah.
Ellie says she has Crohn's.
Crohn's disease, which is IBS, more
inflammation of the...
yeah.
And needs to cleanse, but is scared of things triggering.
Yeah, so then that's why I think you said
for
people with
Crohn's,
IBS to
with
go with
inflammatory, you would be better off with vitamin C and
the
magnesium.
vitamin C and
Yeah.
magnesium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But always check with your
Practitioner. Yeah.
Always check with your practitioner.
Kirsty says she has had her gallbladder removed 10 years ago and has suffered with digestive issues. What could she take to assist the digestive system with this work?
I mean, she can definitely cleanse using a fiber cleanse, but what she may need to consider is
What we're going on to.
what we're going on to.
Okay,
which is
so
the-
keep
which is the liver.
listening. Keep listening, and have we got any others that are important for this section of it, Maiko?
No, I think we can move on.
Yeah, we can move on. Okay, so
Okay.
we started. We
So we
got rid of
started
plaque.
with the gastrointestinal tract. We've addressed how to cleanse the GI tract.
Yeah.
And so we move on to the second most important area of detoxification. Actually, one could consider this to be primary, the liver.
Yeah.
We know that if we didn't have a liver, we would end up with multiple organ failure within a matter of 48 hours. So the liver is a very, very important gland of detoxification. It's the second largest, apart from the skin. The skin is considered an
Largest
organ. It's the
organ,
largest
yeah.
organ of
Yeah.
detoxification through sweat and things like that.
Yeah.
But the liver is the second largest organ of detoxification. So we all take our livers for granted. So what does the liver actually do? The liver's role is to produce bile. And the bile is stored in a little sac under the liver called gallbladder. So every time we eat food, as soon as the food hits the stomach, small intestine, nerve impulses trigger the production of bile. So bile comes into the intestine and it breaks down fats into smaller molecules.
Okay. So for a good reason.
And the reason is, you know, fats
can't-
are long molecules. You cannot.
You can't break them down.
You
just
can't.
with
You
the
have to break
inside.
them down in order for them to be assimilated.
Yeah.
So that's the role of the bile as far as the liver is concerned. But the liver, consider the liver as being something that processes, manufactures, stores, destroys, does everything. It does so many functions to so many different chemicals, hormones, enzymes. Everything occurs within the liver. So it's a very, very important organ to nurture and
Yeah.
to kind of keep clean.
How are we going
and
to do it?
protect.
How are we going to do it?
So, incidentally, the bile, one of the things for the bile is also to, the role is to dump some of the toxins that are oil soluble. So some toxins are water soluble and they'll pass through and then come back to the liver. Some are just oil soluble. So as the toxins are coming through into the small intestine, bile is also congealing with those toxins, and those toxins are being removed through the fecal matter,
Yeah.
as we call it. So that's another role of the liver. So the liver manufactures cholesterol. It destroys red blood cells, spent red blood cells. Obviously, it has to work with alcohol.
Yeah.
It has to work with numerous toxins from the environment and
Yeah.
from food. So it does a hell of a lot. And we all take our livers for granted. Let's face it.
So we're going to go and clean our
We just
liver now.
assume assume that everything's going to function correctly until something goes wrong, maybe. But let's look at what actually harms liver. So the liver has to process a lot of protein, and it has to break down the protein into amino acids, because again, protein is a long chain compound, and in order for our body to regenerate our tissues and things like that, it has to have amino acids. And amino acids make up protein, so the protein has to be broken down into amino acids, which the liver does very well. Unfortunately, when we break down that protein, we release ammonia.
Okay.
Ammonia is very toxic. If you put in the old test tube, when we used to do chemistry, we used to
A touch of it and it would...
slice a touch of liver and put
Yeah.
ammonia in it, and it would just disintegrate the liver. literally disintegrate. So ammonia, the liver has to cope with that ammonia. So too much protein could actually be detrimental to your liver.
Okay.
Remember, we're supposed to be taking, I believe it's 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight.
So I wonder how you feel about all these Atkins protein strong detoxes that people do to lose weight quite rapidly. That is so full of protein.
Agreed. That's putting a burden on the liver. So if you're going to follow that diet, maybe you should be thinking of supporting your liver.
So you're not against somebody going that way, because it does then make us burn fat quicker.
Yeah.
So, okay, what are we going to do to support our liver?
So we are going to be thinking in terms of
Milk
thistle complex, which is what
I've never really known what milk thistle does. I have it in my bathroom. I think, I know it's a good one. I'll take it. Please, yes.
Right. So milk thistle is simply native to Europe and everywhere else. It's a herb that has this weird and wonderful purplish flowers, etc. Belongs to the thistle family. It's very, very high in antioxidants. So the idea of milk thistle is that it is able to protect the liver by offering it some protection, antioxidant protection, so that hopefully it can regenerate. Remember, the liver is a regenerative organ.
Yeah.
It's the only organ
that does regenerate.
That can regenerate. Everywhere else, if you've got inflammation, you're scarring the organ.
Yeah,
but the liver has the capability of regenerating. I think it's something like 5% in 30 days can be regenerated. Pretty.
When it's working
Unfortunately, our liver is constantly exposed to toxins. Constantly. As I said, if you were to take something like a toxin and then you went to eat somewhere where there were no toxins, your liver would regenerate. But our liver is bombarded on an ongoing basis. So this supplement contains milk thistle.
Milk thistle complex from Health Aid.
Basically, it contains what I call the Trinity of liver cleansing herbs.
All right, which are?
So the Trinity includes milk thistle, it includes dandelion, and it includes artichoke. Artichoke leaves, not the vegetable.
Yeah.
So milk thistle, as I said, highly protective in terms of its antioxidant properties. Dandelion stimulates bile production.
Okay.
And bile is what we need to break down our fats. So the person who just had the question on how can I support, I've had a gallbladder removed, etc. You're talking about dandelion encouraging the liver to produce more bile, and the bile will break down the food. It's basically what's happening to her, possibly, is the fact that the fats within her diet are not being broken down efficiently enough.
So this contains also...
And then artichoke.
Artichoke. Yeah, okay.
The great thing with this product, there are hundreds of milk thistles.
Yeah.
Why did I pick that? Because as I said, it contains the Trinity of liver cleansing herbs, but it also contains what we call lipotropic factors. Now, lipotropic factors are choline, inositol, methionine, and some B vitamins. And as the name suggests, lipotropic, meaning affinity with fat, they're actually helping to uncongeal the liver of the fats, because the liver is processing fats all the time, cholesterol and fats. It itself can get congealed with fats. So the lipotropics are working, trying to uncongeal the liver.
Okay. How often should you take it?
Well, again, with liver cleansing, I think seasonally.
No, you think seasonally? All right.
I think seasonally is fine.
So when you say seasonally, do you mean take it for a month?
Take it for a month,
and then
stop it for a few months.
All right.
Maybe introduce it again.
Morning, evening, after food, with food?
No, one tablet twice a day with food.
Fine.
With
one
food,
tablet twice a day with food. Great. So we're dealing with the intestine, we're dealing with the liver. Where are we going to next?
We're now basically, those were the 2 cleansing organs that I really wanted to talk about. I know with kidneys, there are people who talk about kidney cleansing being important.
I think we need step 1 here.
I think kidney cleansing is is asking people a lot to do a lot.
Yeah.
And I think if we start off with the intestines, and we start off with cleansing our livers, we're really almost.
Okay, great. So you're ready to go on sugar in a minute, are you?
I am.
Okay, so before we do, let's take a few more questions.
Is it a choice of taking either product or taking both together?
I think you can safely take both together without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, you can cleanse your liver and you can cleanse your gut.
Yeah, I think somebody's also saying, can I take one or the other? And I think if you it's a lot of information to absorb from you, Shabir.
It is.
So I think it's really good to go back and listen again, which I always have to do with yours, because you give us just a tremendous amount of detailed information. But I would say, if you can afford to, take both, because we're talking about a whole cleanse here.
Remember, the starting point, as I said, is your intestinal cleansing. So I think if you start off with intestinal cleansing, you're already taking a step.
And
see how you get along with it.
and then
You can
add in the
always
milk thistle.
add the milk thistle if you require.
Julie's husband has a fatty liver. What
Yeah.
would you suggest to help with this?
The milk thistle, again, because the lipotropic factors within the milk thistle will be trying to uncongeal the fats that have occurred, because that's a very common concern. As we age, our liver, as I said, processes fats a lot. It manufactures and destroys cholesterol, and it has to process fats a lot, and it can get congealed itself. And it's not uncommon for a 50, 60-year-old to have a bit of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
What are your thoughts on methyl cellulose for fibre?
Methyl cellulose is just vegetable, plant-based fibre.
Can you advise about active charcoal capsules, because we spoke about that before?
Well, charcoal, as I said, is a great adsorber of toxins. It helps also adsorb gas, so it seems to help
with
people with winding, colic and things like
I mean,
that.
I don't take capsules, I take raw charcoal pills.
Even better.
Yeah, okay.
Even better. Why not?
And they're from that make which has a red and a blue outside with white, but I'll try and find it too.
Can I ask a few more about the magnesium?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're taking neuromagnesium, can you still take the magnesium plus vitamin C together?
You can indeed.
Yeah, and if
You
I'm
can.
taking normal magnesium, because I take neuromagnesium in the morning and I
Yeah.
take my VH magnesium in the evening, can I also then take this?
You've got to try and look at how much magnesium intake. Try and restrict your magnesium intake to sub 500 milligrams a day.
So looking at those, think maybe I don't
If
do
you're taking
neuromagnesium.
8 neuromags, then that'll be...
No, I'm taking 2. Okay, Shabir. I know
I
you
mean,
think I
you know,
just
so-
exceed on everything, but I take 2. So if I take 2 neuromagnesium
Neuromag, and then you
I
would
take
take
2
them.
normal magnesium, can I also take this?
You can.
Right, okay.
Does magnesium help with tiredness?
Magnesium is the primary mineral which is involved in the production of our energizing molecule called ATP within every single cell of our body.
All right, so long-term tiredness, but I do take it at night, and part of I remember the
It relaxes
thing is
muscles.
it relaxes muscles.
It's not a stimulant, so
All
it's not like a ginseng that stimulates energy production.
Okay,
What
so-
it is you're building up levels of your energizing molecule called ATP, and magnesium is required for that. And unfortunately, as I mentioned before, 50-60% of us are deficient in magnesium purely because it's involved in so many biochemical reactions within the body.
Okay.
Are there any physical symptoms which tell us that the fibre is sluggish? The liver is sluggish?
Well, so the major symptoms of the liver not working correctly are, of course, jaundice. For example, you end up with a yellow.
Okay, that's a very extreme.
That's
yeah,
a very extreme
yeah.
thing. But the subtle signs of poor liver
Underforming,
function. One of them is actually spider angiomas. Now you know what they are. Little capillaries.
I
that
have
show
those
through.
on my. I have those on.
That's
Okay.
Now why does that happen?
Yeah.
Because the liver is processing hormones, as I said before.
So we're talking very light thread veins. by
Very
the way,
light
just
thread
like
veins.
Shabir was showing on the calf and maybe the ankle,
Yeah.
or just mainly the calf.
Mainly the calves.
Mainly the calves.
So what happens is the liver is processing hormones, and estrogen is one of the hormones that's responsible for angiomas.
Yeah.
And when it's not breaking down that estrogen, this is what happens.
Okay.
The net result is spider angiomas. Another
It might not be the only reason.
No,
you have
it might
them,
not
so
be
I
the only
think
reason. We
don't-
should
but it's
don't
just
take
an-
it for
it's-
as a...
yeah, but it is
It's
an
just
indication.
It may be. Another thing is, again, coming back to estrogen, another reason potentially could be hyperpigmentation. If you're suddenly getting a lot of hyperpigmentation, assuming that you have exposed yourself to the sun, things like that, it could be that, again, because
It's not being breakdown.
estrogen stimulates tyrosinase, an enzyme that deposits pigment onto your pigment cells.
Right,
So that's another subtle sign that it may be.
Okay.
It may be, or
Yeah,
it may
all
not
right.
be. I'm just
Okay.
kind of trying to...
How do you get rid of metal toxins?
Metal toxins are generally, as I said, the complete fiber cleanse has the N-acetylcysteine, which binds with heavy metals, so it binds with lead, cadmium, mercury, things like that.
All right, so I think we're going to go on sugar now. Yeah, let's go on sugar because I feel it's working now. I've been taking these for a few weeks. I'm thinking I'm really in the zone, but sugar, the inflamer, sugar, the inflamer.
Right, so sugar. There's been a lot of talk lately in the press about sugar. Public Health England has just highlighted to us that by the time a child reaches 18 years of age, by the time a child reaches 10 years of age, they've had 18 years worth of sugar, which is an incredible. And ironically, adults are no different in their intake. We're just intaking. We just keep on taking in a lot of sugar. And remember, sugar is not just glucose and sugar that we're adding. It's present. It's kind of in so many things, in so many forms,
foods,
so many forms.
Foods,
high fructose
biscuits,
corn syrup and things like that. So agave syrup and things like that. So many things. So it's very easy to see how our consumption.
Tell me before we start, Swan, what's the benefit of sugar? Tell me good sugars.
Sugar. No, I mean sugar fuels your body. Let's face it. Sugar is fueling your body.
Yeah.
What you want is not simple sugar.
Complex.
I mean, if you wanted to run 100 meters, 100 meters quickly, you would definitely need sugar. You would need refined sugar. Gives your energy quickly, and you're running quickly. Okay. But if you're talking about sustained sugar, sustained energy levels, then you need to be thinking of complex carbohydrates because they're converted slowly into sugar. Yeah. You're getting sustained energy production. Because when you have just glucose or a sweetened beverage or whatever, immediately you've got your energy. But insulin is released because sugar is damaging to your body. So insulin converts that sugar into energy. And then after that, your levels slump and then you want more sugar. Yeah. So it's a cycle, unfortunately.
So it's getting that consistent energy level.
It's getting a sustained amount of sugar, a small amount of sugar regularly throughout the day that keeps you going.
Okay. So what are we going to do?
So before we go on to what we're going to do, I think we should
I'm always getting
come on, how much sugar are we actually consuming?
I don't want to answer that question.
Okay, so
all right,
we can trace sugar's increase in popularity to the Industrial Revolution. I mean, we're
going to have a history lesson on sugar for Shabir now. So ladies, go and make another cup of coffee.
Basically, what happened was with industry before. I'll give you an example. Chocolates were only supposed to be for those who could really afford to eat them. I mean, for the rich people. We used to import sugar, and manufacture chocolate, and people would have it. Industrial Revolution came along. We were manufacturing sugar here in this country. We were then making chocolates.
Tate and Lyle grew its empire,
and everyone could afford.
So are you saying before that time that the aristocracy were in worse health than the people who couldn't have access to chocolates?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. I mean, but then they also had the aristocracy.
I'm just asking. I just want to get your handle on it.
I mean, the problem was the aristocracy also.
If you
trace the history, they were having a lot of fatty meals. They were having
they're dying younger.
8 to 10 portions of things just for lunch, for example.
We're digressing.
Let's get back.
All right, so
the average person prior to
the Industrial Revolution
was having about 135 grams of sugar per week. Today we're having something like 3 times more for women and around 4 times more for men per week. Per week. So
like
it's
500.
It's between 360 and 500 grams per week. That's a hell of a lot of sugar. But what does sugar do? So why is sugar considered toxic? Why?
Yeah.
Well, when your body metabolizes sugar, so after the sugar has been used for energy, the rest of this excess is converted by the liver into glycogen. So it stores it for in case you need energy suddenly and you're going to run from a tiger or something like that. And any excess beyond that is converted and stored as fat. And then your liver sends what we call fat packets. Packets of fat, sends it round into the bloodstream, and they get deposited in your fat cells, which mainly around your midriff area.
Yeah.
So, you know, your midriff area could be a sign of how healthy you really are. Because remember, it's the liver as well. We're coming back to the liver again. It could be a sign of, you know, whether your liver is functioning correctly or whether your intake of sugar is too much. It's giving you an indicator that maybe you are having a lot of sugar. But what's crucial about sugar is that when you burn sugar for energy, you produce a series of compounds which are called AGEs, AGES. They're called advanced glycation end products, and they basically destroy the proteins in our body. Every single protein is prone to be destroyed by the production, by the metabolism of sugar, and by these products.
And those
AGEs.
proteins we don't want destroyed because
they're the proteins. I mean, everything. So you're talking about joints, ligaments, eyes. If you think about diabetics, what do they have to worry about? They have to go for their eye tests all the time. They have to worry about how they even their feet, because, you know, impaired circulation, things like that. So sugar is destroying the proteins in our body. And too much sugar is making it quicker.
So when you talk about inflammation, you're talking about the destruction of proteins? Or is that too
no. Sugar produces these compounds which are inflammatory. And that inflammation is breaking down everything in the body. It's just simply aging our body. So,
what can we do? What can we do? Come on.
No. But before I go, what do we do? Right? There seems to be a lot of people who seem to talk about, you know, can you really detox sugar? So, this asks the question, is sugar something that we are dependent upon? So can you have a dependency on sugar, like you have a dependency on a drug? Now, there has been no trial that has shown that you're actually dependent upon sugar, that you have to have your sugar fix first thing in the morning, that I have to have my sugar cube first thing in the morning when I wake up. No study has shown that. Yes, there are people who may suddenly go and have 3 or 4 donuts, but that's probably an addictive form of a behavior problem.
More than a physical craving.
Than a physical dependence. Of course, sugar cravings do occur. And they occur because of hormones. Let's face it, there are times when your hormone levels are down, and basically this triggers cortisol. Cortisol in turn triggers insulin. Insulin burns your sugar, so you now are craving more sugar. Sugar cravings may occur as a result of a habit. I mean, I'm a classic person that wishes to have my 3 o'clock donut or a 3 o'clock chocolate fix. And I will just, it's a habit, I will just carry on and on and on. So some people do that ongoing. So, as I said before, what we need to consider is to keep our sugar levels relatively stable, so that we can carry on without wanting or thinking about a sugary food or anything like that. And to this end, I have brought a supplement from Viridian called Chromium and Cinnamon. Chromium and Cinnamon Complex.
Chromium I get because I used to take chromium drops because I love sublingual chromium. I don't know if it's from Viridian, but that really good sublingual brand. But for sugar cravings, I remember using that. The cinnamon is that natural sweetener that people
cinnamon is also known as sweetwood because you know it has that thing. But so chromium makes sure that your insulin levels are kept at an ebb. So by keeping your insulin levels at an ebb, you're not going to get the peaks and troughs of sugar being up and down. And
so does that mean it doesn't matter what I take, or does that mean it will help me in what I don't take? Do you see what I mean?
No.
So, okay, so is this going to help me to not crave sugar so much? But if you think it's a habit more than a craving, I always felt it would help me with cravings.
Theoretically, if you keep your sugar levels at a relatively stable level, then theoretically you shouldn't want a craving. But as I said, there is this thing about habit. And there are some people who suddenly think at 3 o'clock. So I think you've got to think about mindful eating. Remember the word mindful. Mindful eating.
So if we take this, will it help us to break that craving we might get at 4 o'clock?
It will definitely. It should help a little bit to break down.
But what's happening more importantly in the body is it's making our sugar.
It's keeping the sugar at a consistent level so that we're not wanting maybe 3 or 4 times a day to have sugar. And by the way, with that, you get a little nice booklet.
Oh my God! Look, the 7-day sugar detox from Viridian. Great. The facts, figures, recipes, and support you need.
So it's a really good book, because if you go through, because remember, this is just a 7-day pack, just to get you going. So we're talking about how much sugar are you eating, where is sugar hidden,
Great.
and some suggestions as well.
Okay.
So not a bad
Alright,
thing
good.
at all to,
Fantastic.
to
Okay.
consider. I mean, the best way to always think about it is, sugar detoxes.
Sugar detoxes. All right, that's going to be a whole new one. Okay. Do we have? I feel we've gone quite a long way. Should we just do a few more questions?
Yeah. Somebody said that she has candida. What products from Victoria Health will help for that?
So for candida, I always tend to recommend a herbal supplement called horopitone aniseed. Horopitone aniseed are capsules. Horopito is a herb found in New Zealand. The University of Canterbury in this country did some trials on it and found it to be equally as effective as a traditional antifungal agent.
Okay.
But without any negative effects.
Can we have too much fructose from fruits?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fructose should be treated as glucose. Absolutely.
Does chromium have any side effects?
The supplement that I just talked about would not be used by diabetics.
Okay.
Should not be used by diabetics.
Okay.
For sure.
What about green tea? Can that help?
Well, green tea has numerous compounds which aid fat metabolism. We're not sure about whether green tea will actually help with sugar control. I don't believe it does.
Okay.
What do you think about a bone broth cleanse? Can that help reset the system?
To be honest with you, I've never come across it, but I shall investigate.
There's a few
for
people.
sure.
There's two sisters
that?
who are called the Helmsley sisters, and they talk up a lot their bone broth cleanse. A lot of people do, just talking about bone marrow and the dead.
And is that just because of
it's a
amino
fact.
acids?
I mean, it's probably very good, but I'm saying it's something that it's, every few years there's a new thing which you all must be doing, and this is the current one.
Stephanie is asking Trinny, which charcoal brand do you use?
I'm trying. Could it be Herbert's? Humbert's?
It could be.
Is there a brand called Humbert's or Hubert's? Do you have a charcoal? Or do you know charcoal?
We normally use Health Aid's.
Health Aid.
Called Gastone activated charcoal, but it's a capsule.
Yes, all right. Gastone activated charcoal. Shabir's mentioning mine. I think was called Humbert's or Herbert's. I can't remember.
Is it okay to take milk thistle if you are on heart medication?
It is perfectly safe, but again,
Check
as
with
always,
your,
check with your practitioner.
Is milk thistle better as a tablet or as a liquid?
I think you have to look at the values of the extract within each supplement. You can't generalize. Some tinctures are really strong, some are really poor and just have mostly alcohol.
A lot of people, I know it's slightly off topic, but lots of people ask about acid reflux and how...
We've done
a really good live with Shabir, which is focusing on acid reflux. And so if you go onto Trinny London Tea Time and then look under health, you'll see what do we call it?
I'll link it.
Yeah, Micah will link it. I'm just going to say there's 3 more things here, and I love it when you bring me a few little things.
Yes.
Are you going to, how long have we been on?
We've been on 53 minutes.
Okay, we're going to just in 2 minutes, you're going to do a minute on each one. So
I thought we'd talk about, again, another thing that's in the press a lot.
Yeah.
I think they call it veganuary.
Veganuary.
So people turning vegan.
Yes.
Etc. I mean, listen.
Is this a part of this thing we're going to talk about, veganuary?
These are the last 3 supplements for veganuary.
Fine. Veganuary. So you mean if somebody is turning... How many of you are turning vegan this January? Love to know. So this is if you're turning vegan this January, what's good to take?
If you're turning vegan this January, you have to watch out because, turning vegan is not just easy.
Yeah,
you
and
have
many
to,
people take
because
years
remember,
to...
vitamin B12, solely available in animal proteins.
Okay.
So where are you going to get it? You're going to get it from fortified foods, and you're going to have to make sure you're taking between 500 micrograms and 1,000 micrograms a day every day.
So you can't afford to lose that supplement.
Because vitamin B12 is required for
B12.
energy production, it's required for red blood cell production, and what better way of taking it than to take a sublingual form?
Sublingual, B12, MyKind.
Organic, MyKind Organics, B12 spray.
Yeah, great. So if you're on the Atkins diet, you don't need this. Okay.
Right.
Next.
Another thing. So if you're, you might think that, oh great, I'm vegan, I'm having all these green foods, I must have a lot of iron in my body. The chances are no. Let me tell you why. Plant sources of iron are not utilized as efficiently as iron from animal sources. So you need 4 times more iron from plant sources than you do from animal sources.
Is that why a lot of vegans, to me, can look really pale? Yeah, I do find that. Any of my friends who are vegetarian or vegan, yeah.
So maybe get a blood test done, and if you're thinking about iron, just one of these sprays a day. I mean, it's vegetarian.
Daily.
Sublingual iron spray done.
Great, good to know. And last one.
Lastly, we rely on our omega-3 fatty acids for our heart, for the protection of our heart, for our joints, lubrication, things like that. But of course, vegan sources, fish provides us with what we call EPA and DHA. Now, EPA and DHA are two essential fatty acids which are utilized straight away by the body. Unfortunately, vegetarian and vegan sources of essential fatty acids like flax, hemp seed and things like that are ill converted into those EPAs. They're simply not converted efficiently by the body, with the exception of one called Echium seed. So Echium seed oil is the equivalent to having a fish oil, but from a vegetarian source.
Great. So for any vegetarians who are permanent vegetarians, these are good things to know.
Echium seed oil.
And if you're doing vegan,
not hemp, flax, or anything else.
All right, great. That's the only one with a real kick.
Yeah.
Shabir, Micah, are there any last-minute questions?
Last questions. What would be the best option for slightly high cholesterol?
Slightly high cholesterol. Well, first and foremost, increase your essential fatty acid intake, because they will help to emulsify cholesterol and hopefully take it to the liver. Using a good liver cleanser will actually help your cholesterol to a degree as well. But there are natural cholesterol remedies. If you do not wish to go on statins, you can read about on victoriahealth.com.
Okay, great.
We've got some editorials on high cholesterol.
High cholesterol, I think I've read one.
Can chromium be taken alongside other morning supplements like evening primrose and magnesium?
Absolutely no problem.
And everybody's saying, well, a lot of people are saying they're going vegan, and somebody's asked if you're vegan, Shabir.
Oh, Shabir.
I am not vegan, but I have to be honest, given a choice of meat and vegetables, I will always go for vegetables first.
You will.
Yeah, but my only downfall is a good steak, and Jill will say that as well.
A good steak.
Yeah.
Are you vegan, Jill?
No.
It was like a rhetorical question, actually. Can I just say, Shabir, as usual, we've learnt so much, and I will have to go back, and to me there was a lot of biology that I didn't do in my O-level even, that I need to go back so I can understand. But just looking at, I think what I've learnt most from this is we can ease off some of the foods that are excess, but we can start to begin to take supplements that will really just help our body to work better.
I think we need to say at some point, I'm going to take charge of my body. Yeah. And this is what I'm going to do.
Taking charge with Shabir. Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
Ladies, thank you for watching, and Shabir will stay on for how many minutes? A little bit, and just answer some of the questions we didn't get through today, because Maiko in the bath. Maiko, thank you, darling. Jill, lovely to see Jill in the bath, looking gorgeous and got a lovely tan on. She's been in Miami. And we'll catch up again soon. What do you think we're going to go to next? I mean, what we'd like to do is, why don't you also say, ladies, what you really, what subjects you would love to cover, and if you see your subject already mentioned, just press like, because that's the quickest way for Maiko and I to go through, and so people might bring up 6 or 7 topics and just like the one that you already see. It's an easier way for us to count, and that's what we could be doing next. And if you just want to be led by Shabir, we know Shabir will come up with another great topic. All right, have a lovely Sunday and catch up soon.
Bye.
Bye.